Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dive into the one trait that really separates the amateur from the professional in, well, pretty much any creative field. It's the one skill that can turn that passion project into a finished masterpiece.
Okay, so let's just jump right in and ask the big question that every single aspiring creator faces. What is it? Is it some kind of raw, innate genius? Is it just a lucky break? The perfect idea? Well, look, those things can definitely help, for sure. But the real answer? It's something way more fundamental. And you know what the best part is? It's something that's completely within your control.
That's it. Perseverance. It isn't some magical quality you're just born with. Nope. It's the sheer, dogged will to just keep going. It's making that choice to show up day after day, especially on the days you really don't feel like it.
To really get our heads around this, let's look at the ultimate archetype of perseverance in the arts. I'm talking about a name literally everyone knows, but whose story is a total masterclass in creative endurance. Just take a look at this. We see a man who we now consider an undisputed genius, right? But in his own time, he was seen as a complete and utter failure. He painted relentlessly, churning out masterpiece after masterpiece, but the world, it just wasn't ready to listen.
Let's just break down what his reality was like. I mean, he wasn't just ignored. People actively laughed at him for his work, for his unique style. He was so broke that his brother Theo had to support him financially. And get this, in his entire life, he never sold a single painting. Not one. All the fame, all the immortality, that came entirely after he was gone.
So you gotta ask, what could possibly motivate someone to keep working against those kinds of overwhelming odds? I mean, with zero external validation, no money, and absolutely no fame, why would you even pick up the brush day after day? And here it is. This is the key. His drive wasn't for all that outside stuff. It wasn't about fame or fortune. It was an internal, unstoppable passion for the simple act of creating. He painted because he just had to. It was a part of him.
But here's the thing. Van Gogh's story, it's not just about him. His struggle isn't some rare, tortured artist thing. It's actually a universal part of the creative process that every single one of us runs into.
You know the feeling. No matter how much you love a project at the start, whether it's a novel, a song, a business, whatever, every creator eventually hits a wall. That initial spark of inspiration, it starts to fade, and then the real work begins.
And eventually, the work just becomes monotonous. It's difficult, and it feels a lot like manual labor. It's not about that grand, exciting vision anymore. It's just about laying one brick, then the next, and then the next. And this exact moment right here is where most people quit.
This quote just says it all, doesn't it? A professional writer is an amateur who persevered. Just think about what that really means for a second. The only thing separating the person who actually finishes their book from the one with a half-done manuscript sitting in a drawer is the simple refusal to quit during that brutal bricklaying phase.
And hey, this isn't just some old historical idea or a nice-sounding quote. Let's look at 3 modern examples of authors whose perseverance paid off in, well, a pretty spectacular way.
So, we're going to take a quick look at the stories of Anne Rice, J.K. Rowling, and Elizabeth Gilbert, 3 writers who faced just immense challenges and rejection after rejection before their huge breakthroughs. So let's start with Anne Rice. Before she was the absolute queen of Gothic fiction, she was writing soft porn just to pay the rent. Her desk was literally piled high with rejection letters for Interview with the Vampire. But here's the thing. She said later she always knew those rejections were silly and didn't reflect her work's actual value. And wow, did history prove her right. At her peak, fans would wait in line for a minimum of 48 hours just to get a book signed. And then, of course, you've got the legendary story of J.K. Rowling. Living in poverty, famously scribbling down parts of her masterpiece on napkins in coffee shops, just building a routine around her passion. She got one scathing rejection after another from publishers before Harry Potter didn't just become a success. It single-handedly changed the entire literary industry.
And then you have Elizabeth Gilbert. Long before the incredible success of Eat, Pray, Love, she was a pretty much unknown writer, just scratching out a living as a freelancer. Her whole approach was different. She wrote because she just loved to write, not because she was chasing fame. That internal drive, that love for the craft itself, that's what kept her going for years.
So what's the real lesson from all these stories? Well, it's not that perseverance guarantees you're going to be famous. It doesn't. The real takeaway is that you have to define success on your own terms. You have to follow your own heart, because when you truly love what you do, the work itself, that becomes the reward.
All right, so what does all this mean for you? Let's bring this all home and talk about your own creative path.
The writer Les Standiford used to give this brutally honest piece of advice to his creative writing students. And it's a real challenge, you know? It's designed to make them really confront their true motivation. He's basically forcing them to ask themselves, are you doing this because you kind of want to, or because you absolutely have to?
And the moral of his little test is this: for a true creator, quitting isn't actually an option. It's not even on the table. The drive to create is so deep, so ingrained, that stopping would actually be harder than pushing through the struggle.
And that really brings us to the final thought here. If your passion is genuine, if you have that deep internal love for the work itself, then perseverance isn't some choice you have to make every morning. It's just an inevitability. So the real question isn't, how do you find the will to keep going? It's, how could you possibly stop?